Okay, a couple other cool things I want to show you that is kind of unique to newer versions of V-Ray. Let's actually turn off this sun. I'm going to create something that's even more moody than we had before, lighting-wise. What I did was go into our V-Ray HDRI, and I changed the horizontal rotation to -60. Okay, and I told you that 0 is going to be over here, so -60 is somewhere like right there, kind of right directly, like we're looking directly into it with the camera, right into the sun. Okay, so if we bring up our rendering, well, you can already kind of see it there, but with the sun off, our V-Ray sun is turned off, and just our HDRI is working, so everything looks pretty flat, but the sun is right behind the house. So this is not a great way to render because it's not showing the depth of our building very well. But what I want to show you is this, not that, this setting here. So if you're in the V-Ray frame buffer, open lens effects settings. This is something that's been in V-Ray for a while, but it's improved greatly in the latest versions. Okay, so our interactive rendering is going on right now. It's on past 757, or that's how many it did, and now it's done at 36 seconds. Okay, but we can turn on these lighting effects here just by opening this menu, clicking on bloom effect, and you can see what that does. Now there's bloom, light bloom coming from behind the house, which is cool. You can turn up the weight. Okay, and that gets a little crazy. This is one of those settings that you do not want to go crazy on because it'll immediately make your image look fake and somewhat lame. Okay, so right there it's very subtle, and that's probably about what you want. You can change the shape and size too. Shape is like how it's interpreting around the edges. I like it right about there, and then size. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Weight is kind of like intensity. Okay, so it kind of looks like there's a haze coming from behind the house. This is cool. I like this. On interior scenes, you can use it a lot more. You can actually put a lens flare on your interior lights. Out here, obviously, we just have a sun, so it's not doing a whole lot, but that is pretty accurate. In a camera, you would get something like that. So that's actually pretty cool. Now, lens flare, we could turn that on here, but we don't have a direct, we're not looking directly at a light, and flares only happen when you're looking directly at a light source. So the sun is back there somewhere, but it's not a direct, it's not like a little point, it's really this whole image is emitting the light. So, and this one is not going to do a lot, but if you had a lamp on an interior scene and you turn that on, you'd see that light bulb putting off a little glare, which is cool. If we go into here and rotate this thing a little bit more so we can see it update interactively, put it at 90. Now the sun is more over here, and you see glare coming, or bloom, I guess, coming from there. So that's cool. Let's do -120. Now we'll see this side of the house starting to get lit up, and still that bloom is coming from over there, which is pretty cool. Let's see, let's go back to 0. See if any bloom comes from the right side of our scene there. Yeah, it definitely is. But it's not getting us the same effect. Let's see, 40. So you can see how cool this interactive rendering is. You can see how cool the bloom effect is. That's nice right there. I like that. Okay, another thing we can do, of course, is add fog or haze to this. Let's see what that looks like. Actually, make sure that you stop this interactive rendering when you're trying to work, because otherwise it'll be rendering while you're working and kind of slow you down quite a bit. Let's add a fog in. Rendering effects. Go to the rendering file menu, effects, go to environment, pan all the way down to effects, atmospheric effects, add fog. You want it to be about near at 0% and far to 5%. Okay, that's pretty basic. Set the color of it to something similar to the background, like that. And then what you need to do, the depth of that fog is controlled by the camera in an environment slot. So if we select the camera and go to the modifier panel, close some of these down, and you will see something in here called miscellaneous. And in here you have environment ranges, okay? So environment range is 0 right now. For the near range, that's where the fog is going to be 0%. And for the far range, we can put 400 feet, and that's where the fog will be at 5%. Okay. So let's select the camera, render again. Ooh, wow, look at that. We've got some serious fog going on. Something's not quite right. Although that's cool looking, isn't it? Okay, I've messed with the fog settings a little bit. Here's my color, here's my settings, near 0%, far 5%, and then in the environment range under miscellaneous, we need 0, 250 feet. And one thing that I've noticed is that with the interactive rendering, the fog does not show up, not supported there, but in production rendering, it does. Let's pause for a second and see what we get. It looks pretty subtle, perhaps too subtle. Okay, the fog is barely visible, and my bloom is too much. Not subtle enough. Like I said, you gotta be careful with that. It's making everything look kind of like a soft, hazy wedding photo or something, which I don't want. That might be okay. That almost looks like fog there, but there is some fog going on over here, but it's just very much subtle, very subtle. So let's try one more time. Let's turn this up to 20 just so we can see what we're getting. Render one more time. Ah, too much, I can already tell. Clearly that's way too much fog. If we change the near environment range to maybe 60 feet away and render again, and let's go back into our render settings and make sure we're not on bucket but progressive so we can see right away. Yeah, that fog is still kind of overriding everything. We'll see what we get here. There's our lighting effect. Okay, that's very it's a very moody scene for sure. We're not getting a lot of definition in our model at all. So, but the fog is there, the light bloom is there. So those are effects you can keep in mind if you want. You could continue tweaking this. Obviously, it doesn't look great so far. But yeah, there's also that. Anyway, I think we're going to go back to the lighting we had previously, but I'm glad I showed you these few little tricks with the fog and the lighting effects because they can come in handy for you. But let's go back to that other lighting, which I think we had nailed down pretty good.